All right, everybody. We really do. I just found out we really do have the Russian George Foreman here. I didn't realize Yuri Foreman is a boxer that Coach Mark Puttenvink has trained many times. And Yuri really means George in Russian. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
George Foreman.
Somehow.
So did your parents like, did they do that on purpose? Did they want you to be like George Foreman?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Actually, my mom named me because of Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space.
Sure.
Allegedly. I don't know if you can believe it now.
I know. That's a good debate now. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. And then later on, I found out, thanks to Google, the meaning of my name. And yeah, it was George. So
George Foreman, voila. The Russian George Foreman.
Yeah.
You got to come out with the Yuri Foreman grill.
Yuri Foreman grill, but only in Russia. Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
Countries.
And doesn't George Foreman have like 8 kids? The old name George too, isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah. At least I met I met the 7th. Yeah, the 7th on the 6th. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you're George Foreman's son. Maybe George Foreman came over to Russia and met your mother.
That was the joke when I was growing up.
Oh, is that right? Really? Oh, that's funny.
Yes. Like George, he I think maybe once or twice visited Russia. So I don't know what he has done in Russia.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I when I was in college playing hockey, I really thought I was the toughest guy on the planet. I had that in my head that I was tougher than anybody else in the world. And Muhammad Ali came up there for a boxing exhibition, and they had me working security. And I remember he's walking by me, and I'm thinking, I'm going to sucker him. It's like the weirdest. Yeah. So how old are you now, Yuri?
Now I'm 43.
43. Look good for 40.
Yeah, 43 on the passport. I feel a little younger in reality at my head.
Good. And when did you start boxing?
I started boxing in Soviet Union, I think 88 or 87, 88. And that's it. That was my beginning in sweet science. And in Soviet Union, we let's say the difference between American kids, you grow up, you have comics, we didn't have comics, so my superheroes, as I was growing up, was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was my Superman,
Wow.
And later Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, then Muhammad Ali, So that was our that was our Soviet Marvel,
Oh, okay. Okay.
And, yeah, that was.
And then when did you come over? When did you come over here to the U.S.?
I came to United States 1999. Beforehand, me and my parents, we immigrated to Israel. I lived in Israel about 8 years, and I came here already by myself without the parents.
Wow. And why Israel? Are you Jewish background?
Yes.
Okay.
My parents Jews, and yeah, that's it. American dream.
Yeah.
Tell them about your first.
I must break you, Ivan Drago. There you go.
Yuri, tell Tom and everyone about the first gym you went to in Israel.
Oh yeah, the first gym in Israel. So, oh wow, who is this?
That's Sophie. The doorbell rang.
Yeah. She's a fighter. She's a fighter too.
She's a fighter, yeah, clearly. Living in my Mark's house.
I need protection.
So in Israel, first of all, boxing, as I'm sure a lot of people know, boxing is a kind of an immigrant sport, Once you stop being immigrant, you stop doing boxing,
No.
So in Israel, predominantly people who train boxing are Arabs, or majority former Soviet Union or immigrants, Russian-speaking community. So the gym that I was living in the north, in the city of Haifa, And about north of Haifa, maybe 10 miles, 15 miles north was Israeli. There's Arab gyms, and they do have boxing gyms and they have equipment. And I used to travel there to train there. And when you're going there, uh, they don't. It's not like something like, oh, it's open from 8 to 9 or 8 to 6, whatever, and everybody welcomed. Nobody's welcomed.
Oh,
Especially if you're Jew, you're Jew or you are not Arab, so you're definitely going to be different, and so that was my experience in Israel. I went there. I trained with the Arabs, and the first couple training sessions, they want to take your head off. But
oh,
it's in boxing it's kind of a beautiful maybe part of boxing that the talk is cheap. One Mike Tyson I heard the first time, he said in English, and I try always to get with the dictionary, I try to find what does it mean, talk the talk and walk the walk.
oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
so there was no dictionary for them, but you need like urban dictionary.
Right.
So
Right.
I only later, when I already moved to United States, I find out that so talk is cheap. Talk
There you go.
walk
There you go.
talk the talk
Good.
and walk the walk. It's a completely yeah. So they
So how'd you
if
meet
I,
the great?
how
How'd
to
you meet?
fight. Yep.
Wait, how'd you meet the great Mark Puttenvik then?
Oh, a little bit later. A little bit later, I start training, and once I already came to United States, I was already professional. I think like maybe 6, 7 fights, maybe 8.
Oh, okay.
Um, I don't remember how many fights I had. It was like in the beginning of my professional
Around
career.
then. Yeah.
I start training in West Patterson, and that's where Mark was bringing his kid, Sean.
Mhm.
And that's where we got in touch. And later on you find out that Mark is conditioning coach and all that, and oh yeah. Always need
Oh, he
that
knows
was a
everything.
great-
Yeah, he knows everything.
That was a great gym. It was Lou Duvas, Hall of Fame boxing. We had Yuri, who was up and comer, and obviously later on became world champion. We had Sean George, who was a really talented kid. We had Raymond Biggs. We had who else do we have? Kendall Holt. We had a whole bunch of really elite fighters in that gym. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good crowd, a
Good atmosphere.
Well,
So how many fights have you had now, Yuri?
oh man, I had close to 40 fights. I believe
Wow.
37, and how many? Oh man, also a few losses now. 4, 37 and 4.
37 and 4. Wow, good job. Wow, that's excellent.
Thank you.
Now, have you ever fought for any titles?
Yeah, I fought for the title in 2009, and I won the title. And then I had my defense title. Was defending my title against Miguel Cotto in Yankee Stadium. It was the first fight in Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium. Sorry. I think previous fight was Ali for
Kenny Norton.
Yeah.
Wow, good job, Yuri. Wow, that's cool. So, what was the title for? Where's your title?
Oh, the title. It was WBA, World Boxing Association. And I fought when I won the title against Daniel Santos, who was a Puerto Rican fighter, was a 3-time world champion. And thankfully that day we trained very hard. The training camp was very hard, very, very intense. And I took his title and I made it mine,
Wow.
That's what it's about.
Very cool. Good job. Yeah. Get your any bad injuries, any concussions or anything like that?
Injuries, yes. Concussions, thank God, not so many. Hopefully not so many, but sometimes you get a concussion, like whatever. Like the hard sparring. So I would say the most abuse fighter probably takes is in the gyms, the preparation. But I was also blessed with a great coach like Joe Greer. He's from Patterson, New Jersey. He always reminds, letting me know that boxing is art of defense. It's to hit and not to get hit. It's not
Swim-
about you
swim-
hit
sw-
me once, I'm gonna hit you two times or three times. So it's
swim from one end of the pool to the other without getting wet.
yeah, and that's hard to do.
Hold on. What does that mean? Hold on.
Well,
Swim
it's the
from one
whole
end of the pool?
concept that hitting and not being hit is to go swimming but not get wet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
As you know,
always-
Mark comes up with these gems sometimes.
Yeah. You'll get hit. You know, it's not to get a hit. It's also not. It's evading, like I would say, power punches. You know,
Mhm.
because some of the punches with the bad intentions are dangerous. You don't wanna. As rule number one in boxing, don't block punches with your face.
That's a pretty good rule. I like that.
Yeah.
Here's a question we've got. One of our fans has got for us. You guys remember this fighter, Bobby Cassidy? You guys remember?
Yeah,
Mm.
of course. Yeah, Bobby Cassidy.
Oh, you do? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So, good morning, guys. Good morning. We have a lot of fans here.
He was a tough,
It's pretty
tough,
interesting
tough
having you
guy. Bob Cassidy was a tough guy. I didn't watch many of his fights, but yeah, it was a tough fighter. You know.
Was he up?
Now,
with,
are you still a
Customato?
boxing?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Yuri. Was Bobby with Customato up Catskills?
Bob Cassidy. I don't know. Maybe the person who wrote the comment, you should know.
Yeah.
Danny Erickson? Yeah. But Danny's there.
Danny
He's
knows
not.
everything.
He probably hit in the head too many times, Danny did. So, are you a boxing fan now? Then you're.
Boxing fan, me?
Yeah. Are you a boxing fan now?
Always. Yes.
Okay.
Always boxing fan. Always boxing fan. Always. My algorithm is still in boxing. Yeah, I still enjoy. I still love it. I still have passion towards it. You know.
Right. Now, are
I
you
have to
still
say-
fighting now?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I thought you said boxing fan. Yeah, you could.
No,
you
I
could
did
be
ask you if you're a boxing fan.
without fighting. So
Right.
yeah, I still I had a conversation with my wife, Shoshana, and you know, she wants me. She wants me still in boxing. I would like to quit.
Oh.
Just no. Probably another 2 years. So I give myself 2 more.
Well, here's
Mhm.
a Philippine boxing fan, Manny Pacquiao. Is that how you say that?
Manny
Pacquiao.
Pacquiao. Yeah. There's been a lot of. There's
Wow.
a lot of. Nonito Donaire is tremendous out of Philippines, right? Right, Yuri.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brian Valeria, I think his name was, right? There's a lot.
Brian
of,
Valeri. No, I'm sorry. Brian Valeri he is Hawaiian.
Hawaiian. That's correct.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
He's a,
But you got
what's his
Pacquiao,
name?
you got
Fruit punch.
Donaire,
Hawaiian punch or fruit
Hawaiian
punch.
punch.
whatever.
Yeah,
Not fruit punch. Sorry, Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
Fruit punch is
Something else.
something else. Yes.
Let me see. Oh, we got here. I know the Cassidy trained boxer. She fought as a light heavyweight back in the day. What did you fight at, Yuri? What was your category? Your weight class?
My category is junior welterweight. Junior middleweight or super welterweight. Depends on what. Depends how you are. People hold it. There's 2 different weights. It's 154 pounds, and that's the weight.
Right.
The limit.
So, do you have to
Yeah.
work hard? Do you have to work hard to keep that weight down, or you pretty naturally
Honestly,
got it?
I've been on this weight since a very long time. I checked. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I just moved I became literally a neighbor with Mark. Living in.
That's too bad. Sorry about that, Yuri.
I was
I'm sorry about that. There's no place else to live.
yes, the magnet, the Put-and-Link magnet.
There you go.
Just,
Yeah,
You know
there
what,
you go.
Tom?
Okay, yeah.
Regarding Yuri's weight and this, so I've trained a whole bunch of people over the years. I'll put my reputation on this. Yuri is the hardest worker. I couldn't break him. I mean, there were times when I drove home from training a year ago. Wow, I'm surprised he still talks to me. You know, because, but the proof was in the pudding. I mean, Yuri, even in the beginning of his career, he never ever was in danger of not being ready physically and mentally to fight. He was always in tremendous shape. I mean, we used to put on a show over at Gleason's, right, Yuri? I
Mhm.
mean, we would do 45 minutes in the ring, pads and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Then I put him on the heavy bag, and then the real work began, right, Yuri?
Yeah.
And we would do those.
Like it
those
was like
drills.
an hour something
Yeah.
of nonstop punching. But I talked to you after, because when I drive home, I'm like screaming, "This guy again! I cannot walk the following day."
Oh, is that right?
But it's all good.
But so what I was saying, I moved here and I was packing a lot. Oh my goodness. I lived in New York for 25 years. Since I moved in Brooklyn, briefly in Manhattan, and then back to Brooklyn. So 25 years I was in the city. So first time ever in my life moving kind of outskirts of the
How are
city.
you adjusting to Green Acres out here?
So yes, I'm adjusting. A lot of adjustment to do. So during that transition, I was checking my weight. Finally, like, I was unpacking. Oh, that's my scale, So I checked my weight. I was like 152 and a half. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm below. I literally can go fight now. So it's never been a problem to keep my weight. Because my style is, it's not about stationary boxing style. It's more of I'm
Always moving.
mobile, moving around, and trying to be a moving target versus stationary target.
Right.
Yeah.
So Yuri, let me ask you a question just in general, not specifically about you, or you can touch on this for yourself. What makes a good boxer? Like the work ethic you talked about there, is there a special skill, or some guys just gifted more, or is it like a lot of it just hard work?
I think it's a desire and all the things that you just named. It's skill is good. Skill is, if you already have talent for it, it's great to have. But then there is, people, for example, who not necessarily had so much talent. Just name, everybody know Rocky Marciano. Started late,
Right. Yeah.
but just brute force, brute will. And in order to stop him, you kind of have to probably kill him.
Right.
So it's a combination of all those things. And
yeah, it seems like that's boxing is that sport probably more than other sports where, man, if you don't have talent, you can still win just by the stuff you're talking about. A big heart,
yeah,
never quit.
You could like, Chicago Bulls could be still probably winning if Michael Jordan was not 100%,
Right.
being himself, so my trainer Joe Greer once told me when I was hitting bag, and he's just, he sometimes have like, he's trying to motivate you with some wisdom, I said, Yuri, boxing is like a woman, and once you mistreat her or you cheat on her, she's gonna turn around and slap you across the face. So it's one of the sports. It's one of the sports where you cannot cheat. You cannot cut corners, because if you cut corner, unless you're Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson sometimes could maybe cheat a little bit,
Right.
because I know he cheated on boxing, preparing for
Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. There's a lot of stories about that, and
it's not
okay.
easy.
Like Tyson didn't take care of himself before Buster Douglas.
You know what?
Oh, is that right?
That's what I heard. Bobby Brown, the musician.
Yeah.
They were in Tokyo a night before the fight in a club, and past midnight already. And Mike was like with him, like, no, you need to go back to the hotel. You're fighting tomorrow.
The perfect.
I'm just gonna knock him out in the first 2-3 rounds.
Oh.
You remember Yuri, because I know that he was in the Golden Gloves when you were the Mexican kid that was he fought at 122. He was down in Patterson. Super talented kid, but his training ethic, what was his name now? I can't remember. It'll come to me. But he had all the talent in the world, Tom. But he goes out to fight in Pachanga out in San Diego, Yuri, I think.
I think San Diego.
He's fighting a guy he should easily beat. So the first 3 rounds, this kid's just the guy I'm talking about is just destroying this kid. And then he ran out of gas. Because the night before, he was running around a hotel chasing women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow,
Not good.
What was his name? Because he literally beat the.
Yeah, I
shirt
don't
off
remember.
of,
It's been. Oh man.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it'll come to me later.
Yeah, it's
So Yuri,
yeah.
here's an interesting question, Yuri. Somebody's asking here, what NHL player back in the day could have switched over to boxing? But so we fight. Like I fought in hockey, right? But our fights are we get mad at each other, we throw as many punches as we can for 30 seconds, and then we hold on, right? Like that's like to say, like Nick Fotiu was a boxer. I don't know if you know him, no, Yuri. He's a guy from Staten Island. Do you think, Mark? I think somebody there's an good NHL fighter could be a boxer because they'd have to train differently.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example, and Yuri knows him. Nathan Parrott. Yuri knows, and he's known Nathan for years because Nathan trained Jane in the same gym as we did. Nathan had a 10-year career in pro hockey, up and down. Played for the Leafs a couple times, and then at the end of his career, he called me up and he said, "Well, actually, you know what? George Travallo called me, Yuri, through Lou Duva. He said, 'Hey, Mark, we want to get a hockey player that can box because it would be a big hit up here in Canada.'" And I reached out to Brett Myers? Tom,
yeah, Brett Myers. Yeah,
I was on the show. He kind of was lukewarm interested. Then I called Nathan, and Nathan said, "Yeah, I had like 4 amateur fights as a kid in Canada." So I said to him, I said, "Listen, I wouldn't send my son to Patterson to learn how to play hockey. You got to come down here to learn how to box." You know what I'm saying? Right. So he moved down to Patterson, and he lived here. Oh. And but anyhow, he did okay, but it was later on in his career. He was already older, and he did very well, actually, to be honest with you. But I think, Tom, someone I think that could have been a good pro would be like a George Laraque because he fought athletically, or even maybe Bobby Probert,
Right.
But it's
so like Colton Orr was
so different.
Colton Orr, what's his name? Joey Kocur. They're famous for the one big punch, right?
Yeah.
Would that relate to the boxing world?
Sure, because you slip it and you counter and he put him out, right? Yeah.
Oh, is that right? So they try to throw the one big punch that they throw, and the boxer that's trained properly could move out of the way. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you ever skated, Yuri?
Skating? No.
Yeah.
No. It's kind of.
You didn't go on the ice with me when your son came down?
When? But it's like, my goodness, I need rails. Well, what's it called?
I gotta tell you,
the walker for the
the little walkers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I gotta tell you, like again, I've been in hundreds of fights, but going up boxing, it's a whole different thing, right? Like you're standing there, you think you got to beat, now you go back to the ring, then you go back out again, you go back to. I did again when we fought, it was okay. You got the fight done, then you go to the penalty box for 5 minutes, and now you're go back out and play again. But now you guys are going at it over and over and over. Wow.
Well, one thing, Tom, if you've never shadow boxed, just try to move for 3 minutes straight.
That's on ice.
Or no, even on the dry land. So if in a ring, right, if nobody's ever boxed before, 3 minutes is an eternity. First time they shadow for 3 minutes. And then that's without being hit. That's without anything, So, yeah. But the conditioning is very similar because it's brief bursts. Like, you skate real hard, Tom, then you kind of glide, then you skate hard. Boxing, same thing. You get in there and you're going hard, then you kind of move around. And right here, it's not a straight line. It's kind of up and down. So it's very similar to hockey and the energy.
It's like anaerobic exercise. Always
absolutely
sprinting, not sprinting. Like
yeah. Yuri, have you ever been in a fight where you say to yourself, "Man, I could really get hurt with this guy. This guy, if he hits me right," or all fighters like that? You have
all of them. Like
all fighters. Yeah. But definitely, if you fight, and if you heard a little bit about, let's say, a specific fighter, he, like you could say, like, okay, this guy have a hard punch, So, but even those people who, I remember Paulie Malignaggi was fighting, and the one, and they were saying like, "Oh, Paulie doesn't have a punch, doesn't have a punch." But I remember one guy was taunting him and kind of like showed him his face, like, "Come on, hit me," and Paulie punched him and it put him down,
Well, you see videos of that where the guys are acting like that, like hot dog in it, and they get knocked out cold, right? Because they get the other guy mad.
Exactly.
That's what they. What's the word? You F around. You
if you ever around, you find out. Yeah.
Now, would you ever do MMA fighting or anything like that?
No, I never done MMA fighting. I did a couple months of training combat sambo. It's like a Russian form of maybe jiu-jitsu would be closest. Like Fedor Emelianenko did as a representative. It's a different world. It's very interesting. I watch very often, at least if I get into Instagram, I would watch a lot of freestyle wrestling or Greco-Rome,
Mhm.
and I just enjoy watching the pure technique of what they do. Those guys, like it fascinates me.
For those that don't know, Fedor Emelianenko was probably one of the top guys to come out of Russia, heavyweight, and he was one tough hombre,
Yeah,
really,
it was, yeah.
in the UFC. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, very cool. I just imagine myself again. I think you're a tough guy, and then you talk to a boxer, like, man, it's a whole different world. That stuff. So, what did you think, like, the first time? So, you wanted to be a boxer. First time you get in the ring, what was your thought? Were you fired up? Were you worried, like, I'm going to get hurt
Well,
here or what?
I remember my first experience in competing. I was about maybe 8 years old, and
Oh,
I remember the coach saying, as my first coach, the first coach saying, "Okay, everybody, we're fighting. Let's say in a week. Don't remember exactly details. You have to have short shorts. You have to have a kind of a short, not short sleeve, but like a tank,
Tank
white
top.
yeah,
beaters,
yeah.
kind of a tank tops, yeah. White, preferably red or blue, or both, or white, you know, and you have to bring it. And I was like, oh wow, like I don't remember even if I have those, but I was 8 years old. I asked my mom, and I said, I'm fighting in a week. The coach says I need this and this. So, okay, we're gonna go buy. So we went from store to store to store. It's not something you're going online. It's back in the days. It's like you physically have to go to store. And I remember I was 8 years old, or about 8 years old, and the only things that my mom could find, it was about for 6 years old clothes.
Oh,
And she says, you're gonna fit in. So so bring your parallel, like it's like when Mike Tyson walking to the ring, right?
yeah,
And before even stepping to the ring, his opponent already lost.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember when I was walking to the ring, and there was like, it's a small gym, and there was like people there, some family members and stuff. But I remember when I moved, I went into the ring, and as soon as I enter into the ring, people start laughing. They couldn't say,
Oh, is
because
that right?
look at this kid. He's wearing his younger brother some outfits or something. So
That's
at
funny.
that
That's
moment,
funny.
I lost the fight.
Oh, right.
I was fighting a kid who was a little bit more experienced than me. How I know? Because he was in the same group as I was training. He was much more
Oh,
advanced, and I didn't care. But anyway, like I lost completely myself in that. As soon as people,
yeah.
I was embarrassed, and I just got my hands, and I don't remember the fight, but I remember I was crying. I was crying, and
Well,
I
more
was
more
crying
because
in
of
the
the clothes,
locker
though,
room.
right?
Huh?
Because of the clothes.
No, I lost the fight,
Oh, okay.
and I lost the fight. I went to the locker. I was crying, and the coach came later, sees me crying, and I remember that he lifts me up, picks me up, and say, listen, don't worry. Everybody lost. Every once in a while, everybody loses. And he says, one day, trust me, you're gonna be a world champion. And
Oh,
when
really?
I became world champion, he calls me.
Wow.
He calls me
That's cool. That's
because
a great story.
he was a friend. He was a friend of my family.
Was this in the
I
Soviet
always kind
Union,
of
Yuri?
I maintained contact with him once, like in the blue moon, And he calls me and he says, "You remember? You remember? I told you that when he was crying
That's
in the
cool.
locker room."
Was that in the Soviet
That's
Union,
cool.
It
Yuri?
was back in Soviet
Yeah.
Union, yeah. And the coach, the last conversation I had with him, I actually videoed, like I screen recorded. He was actually having cancer, and he says that probably this is the last time we're speaking.
Mhm.
He actually passed away year and a half ago in Belarus.
Uh,
So it was like very yeah, but it was yeah, it was like,
that's cool. That's cool when that
Well,
stuff happens.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of coaches, Tom. There's a lot of coaches, but there's not a lot of mentors. So
Mhm.
Mark
Right.
is
Yeah.
like one of the few that not just teaching you conditioning, but it's more of teaching you. It kind of develops, everybody think, but not a lot of people independent thinking. That's what I was telling my kids yesterday. My kids thinking that I'm like the most annoying father when I start my tirades in the car for an hour. They're like, and they just there because they cannot leave the car because we're going 60, 70 miles an hour. And I was like, kids, you have to think independently. Don't be like a brainwashed population. They think like I'm like a complete nut, So, but Mark is one of the few coaches that also mentors.
Thanks, Yuri.
Right. Now, are you a U.S. citizen now? Are you U.S. citizen?
I matter of fact, as yesterday, I've been in this country 25 years. Safe to say, almost 25. In May, it's going to be 25 years. And yesterday, I was going through my Google Calendar, and I'm having February 14th a interview with immigration. So hopefully, this is not the last interview I'm having with you. But guess
what are you right now? Then you're a Russian citizen right now?
I am Israeli citizen. But I'm in this country. I'm legal. I'm more legal than the people coming here from South Border. I'm still more legal than them.
Sure.
And hey, if I get kicked out, I'm gonna still come out from here. I'm gonna hit you right from Texas to Port Authority, probably.
There you go. But your kids are U.S. citizens, right?
Oh, they're Americans. Nobody can pronounce Russian. Robert. When I ask him, can you pronounce R? They're only like Americans.
Yeah,
America. I say America, not America. America.
How old are the boys now? Yuri has 3 boys. How old are the boys?
So the kid that I took him to ice skating back in the days, he's 13, and he's he's taller than you, coach, already. He's climbing with the hair is my height now. Yeah, so
very cool.
Tall and
when you say he's tall,
when you say 7.
When you say he's taller than Mark, that's really not saying a whole lot, though, right?
Still can't get on the rides down the shore.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, so I was a Canadian citizen. I got my citizenship right after 9/11, so I know what you're going through there. Yeah, it's fun. It's actually a great process to become. Yeah, it's really interesting process getting your citizenship. It's actually very patriotic. You learn a lot of the stuff that the history and all that kind of. So it's very cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and what's more amazing? Actually, astounding, not amazing. Amazing, it's completely wrong in here. But it amazes me, in the fact that, like, my kids, they're voracious readers, and thank God, I was a reader myself at some point, but not recently. They read a lot, and so from comics to history. So I got them history books, and they learn so much. They learn. I highly recommend to everybody who's listening, their kids, they should be reading. My kids my oldest asked for flag books, a book about flags of countries, learning the history of all flags. One flag, one page, So we was driving from JFK, and there's hundreds of flags, and these kids playing with each other, competing, who can name the country right based on. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is like amazing. And, they know history of this country so well, and I'm proud of them. Cannot even be more proud of them, because they're American-born, also, like, U.S. citizen kids. They don't know crap about this country.
Nope.
And matter of fact, they dissing this country. And this makes my blood boil in a way that you living in one of the greatest countries in the world, where today, in any country, there could be a dictatorship coming at any point, for one reason, because other countries don't have Second Amendment. They might have some quasi First Amendment, which is they don't have anyway. But the thing, just in case, why do we have Second Amendment, as Dave Chappelle said? Just in case the first one doesn't work, that's why we have a
Yeah.
second.
There you go.
Tom,
There
one of
you
the
go.
very interesting, and Yuri is really unique in so many different ways. But when we were training in Patterson, Yuri was still living in Brooklyn, and he used to ride his bike to the subway, get on a subway with his bike, take the subway to Penn, then get on a train with his bike, take the train to Patterson, take the bike out, ride his bike to the gym to train, right, Yuri? He'd come upstairs. So we were on a second story. He'd come upstairs with his bike and set it down. I mean, through the rain, through the snow. It's going back to like what does it take to be a professional fighter? What's it take to become a world champion? You've got to really want it. And you've got to, it's in many ways, Tom, the same ways like heavyweights in the NHL, the guys that fight for a living in hockey.
Yeah.
It's a tough way to live. It's a hard life, but you got to really want it.
Yeah. And so your goal then was to be a world champion, right?
So since I was a kid, as I was saying earlier in the beginning, Mike Tyson was my Superman, Batman, whatever. He was Marvel comic, but then real human. Today I'm kind of finding Marvels. I know, like Americans. I'm still my oldest says like, why you say Americans? You're almost American yourself. But I said, like, I tell my kids, like, you basically watching adults running with the underwear wearing on the spandex, and those are fake characters. The real people is really like athletes, for example. It's like sports unites people. It's one thing, but learning the athletes, it's so interesting how what they do, what's their mind, what did their mind set on when they're stepping into the rink, or the rink with the K, and that's what always fascinates me, like what psychologically, how they prepare themselves, and that's my number one, like I would spend hours, like just want to pick the brain of Mike Tyson, like what it is, like how he prepares himself, or Muhammad Ali, or Sugar Ray Leonard, or Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Like, so after, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a world champion, but if somebody would tell me at that time, you will have to wake up early, you will have to sacrifice so much of your life, of your not going to parties on the weekends with your friends to have fun and those kind of things, and you have to really not cut any corners, so you just have to go the distance, and that's I would probably like, oh man, maybe that's not for me. But once you have a desire, somehow in the universe, whether it's God, or people prefer just the name universe, or higher being, it's made to fruition. I telling my friends that often that I don't think God is the fan of boxing, but he's a fan of you, because he knows your thoughts, and he knows how bad you want this thing, and you're not cutting corners, and he makes that happen somehow. I wanted to be a world champion in Belarus, Soviet Union. It was still Soviet Union, but this dream of mine took me to Israel, and from Israel took me already by myself to United States. And then, you being broke half of your life, and then you find those people, those kind of messengers or angels that not all of them are angels, but very often few of them tend to be like angels. So you meet like Joe Greer, you meet like Mark Budvink, you meet those individuals that help you in a way to achieve your goal, and that goal took me 20 plus years, since I was like 7 years old, 8 years old. I became world champion like 20, 28, 29,
You were 19 when you came here, right?
Yeah, I came 19. Yeah, almost.
So think of this, Tom. He came here alone, no support system, 19 years old, no money. You were pushing garment during the day, right, Yuri? Is that what
in
you
the
were doing?
garment district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 years later, it's fighting at Yankee Stadium and plastered all over the subways and everything. Yuri Foreman, Miguel Cotto, everywhere. 9 years coming here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing when you really think about it. Totally.
Did you write a book, Yuri? You ever thought about writing a book?
I know my wife. My wife, she's a good writer. If anytime she posts on Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, how can you write these things? I have to use Chat GPT to write a sentence.
Yeah. No, I'm the same
Well,
way.
Yuri, John's
same
pretty
way.
close to completing the documentary, correct? There is a documentary that's been over a long period of time, and the documentarian John Alter just about done. He won, I think, 11 Emmys. He's quite renowned as a documentarian, but that's just about done.
And this is on Yuri's life?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I want to see that. Nice. Well, listen, Yuri, it's fantastic having you on the show. Maybe we'll have you on
Thank you
again. So when's your next fight? When's your next fight?
The next fight, God willing, now talking to few people in boxing, like Don Elbaum. Don Elbaum are great.
Yeah.
He's hopefully he lives. He's like 93 now.
Yeah.
So God willing, this year, hopefully closer to summer.
Yeah, Nathan fought a couple down in Philly at the old Blue Horizon. Nathan had a couple fights with Don Elbaum down there.
Yeah.
Good. All right, you're quite the man too. You're very, I was really impressed. You're a very intelligent man too, well read, and you're proud of your sons and everything too. So not just a tough guy, not just a fighter, but a good person too. So great to meet you.
Thank you very much, and very nice to meet you. And wishing you guys blessings. And Coach, I'll see you anyway. You're right here.
See you soon. Yeah.
See you. Take care. God bless.
You're stuck with,
you all, guys.
Yeah.
You all.
And Yuri, listen, if you have another fight coming on, and if you have another fight coming up, and you want to come on here for the show to help promote it, love to have you.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, perfect.
Maybe we'll just do you and I. And we can talk about Mark behind his back too, right?
Yeah. You can talk about me right in front of my. You're
Okay,
doing it now.
That's true. That's true.
We should talk about guys. Mark. We should talk about Mark. Mark, Coach, you wearing like I don't know how many hats you wear. All right, NFL. There's probably NHL is missing and NBA is missing.
No, the only one I don't have is NBA. You're right.
Oh, the what?
NBA. I don't have NBA. I got hockey. I got football.
Okay. And Knights. You have Knights, and oh man, it's amazing. And you play instrument.
Yeah.
I know. But he can't wear a shirt though. That's a hard thing. Like he never has a shirt on.
Yeah.
Bad thing.
I don't want to deprive him.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
we got to roll. Great having you, Yuri.
Coach, while we're here, you want to talk about this?
We'll talk about it in the gym, Yuri.
All right, guys. Everybody have a fantastic day.
Thanks, Yuri.